Hello and welcome back to the Northern Steel Podcast. I'm your host, Dominic Paskowski, and with me, as always, is my brother, Christopher Paskowski. Usually, we start these podcasts with a little roundup of NFL news, and of course, not much NFL news is happening, but it also didn't really seem right to kind of start it off that way, with NFL news being wrapped up with what happened this past weekend on Saturday morning. It's a little strange because Chris and I, with not having a lot of listeners to this podcast, we want to try to make them as entertaining as possible. We try to add some comedy and some laughter, but right now doesn't really seem right and it doesn't really seem appropriate. Instead of usually for something like this is something you'd want to write down in a notepad and kind of have a speech prepared, but that doesn't really seem genuine to me when people do that, especially when I do that. So I just thought I'd talk candidly. This past Saturday, it's around between 6 and 7 a.m., Dwayne Haskins passed away in the state of Florida. He was there training with Mitch Trubisky and a lot of the Steelers' skill receivers. And at night, he got struck by a truck on the highway. It really gutted me and Chris seeing that on Saturdays. I'm sure it did a lot of you. Dwayne Haskins was a 24-year-old man, but a lot of people say kid, and I was about to say kid because 24 at 24 he's only 1 year younger than Chris is, and I've always viewed Chris as a kid because he's my kid brother. But naturally, he was a son, he was a father, a brother, an uncle, a friend, a teammate, a mentor. And his husband, and his life was tragically cut short this past weekend. He had a whole life to live. He did a lot of, it's very evident that he made an impact in Pittsburgh when he came there. I don't want to really talk about his football play per se, but more as the person. And from what I have seen from the outpour of fans and from other teammates is that he was really well loved. He came to Pittsburgh. He did all the volunteer work. He jumped on every opportunity to be involved within the city. I heard that he was always smiling in practice. He was a friend, and he was a great teammate. There are videos of him and the rest of the skill players having fun and laughing hours before his passing. It was very obvious that he made an impact on their lives, and it's just not really fair that life was taken from him this young. As far as football goes, Dwayne Haskins was in a backup role, but you never know what could have happened with him. That's how young he was. I think people were really excited to see what could become of his career. Maybe he started, maybe he subbed in if someone got injured. Maybe he makes a name for himself in the preseason and he moves on to another team and finishes on his career there. But we'll never know. So, to his family, friends, teammates, everyone that is grieving, we want to offer our condolences to them. And we've been thinking about everyone involved. And just rest in peace, Dwayne. Chris, do you want to add anything else? I know I kind of covered a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, you said it all very nicely, and I think you left no stones unturned. I think it's something that it's something to put us all into a little perspective. Like Dom was saying, he was 24 years old. And you never know when that moment's going to happen. I'm not going to go too much into it just because I think Dom already did a great job of covering everything. But again, thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, teammates, friends, anyone that is close to him. And again, just in this moment, if you're listening, reach out to loved ones, see how they're doing, and always, make sure you're there.
So when speaking about Dwayne Haskins, if you are listening, please remember that he's a person first before he's a football player. If you must think about what this means for the team or anything, you can, but keep it in your circle. Talk to yourself. We're not going to be doing that at all. Before we're done, I think if we can just give a little moment of silence for Dwayne, then we'll try to move on. All right, rest in peace, man. Well, now that we've kind of talked about that, it's hard to move on and live life. I think that's the hardest thing about death, not to be too deep on a Steelers central themed podcast, but the thing with death is always trying to find ways to move on. And we're going to try to do that in the most respectful way possible. Obviously, we didn't know Dwayne. We don't know the people close to him, but in terms of the podcast, in terms of everything else, the world around us, it kind of keeps turning. And now we're going to try to find a way to finish this podcast on
a lighter note.
On a lighter note. Correct. So let's just move on to the next topic. We're going to do the best we can. It's not going to really be a comedy-filled fest, but we're just going to give you the facts and what we're doing. So, the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at positions of need for the Steelers in the draft. We looked at wide receivers first. And if it's also feel free to look at more wide receivers. Chris and I have found a couple more since then. We've looked at some safeties last week. And this week we're going to be looking at cornerbacks, which could be a position of need. We have Akello, Cam, and Levi Wallace. Akello and Levi potentially on the outside, Cam on the slot, but I would say that's a decent position of need, wouldn't you say?
I would definitely say so. I'm not saying any of those guys are bad, but at the same time, I don't think when you say those names out loud, anything jumps out at you as like definite one guy.
Right. And the names we're going to bring up, usually I do like a kind of top names, maybe rounds 1 through 3, and Chris does kind of like a round 3 through 6 or 7 even. But the cornerback class, actually, not surprisingly, but the cornerback class is very, very good at the beginning. A lot of mock drafts you see, the best cornerbacks are gone well before even our second round pick. So we won't be talking about Andrew Booth or Sauce Gardner. That's not even an option. We won't be talking about Derek Stingley or McDuffie, who could be there at 20, and those are people we could get. We're just not going to talk about them because after those players, I feel like there's a very steep drop-off on cornerback play. A lot of names that I didn't know before looking at them, and same with Chris. So we're going to give some insights on the players that we have kind of looked up, and maybe if the Steelers pick these guys up, kind of give you an early insight on if that's a good pick or not. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'll get started first, Chris, huh?
Sure.
The first name on my list is a guy who I have seen Steeler fans have liked early on, maybe has been connected with them because they've met with this player, is Roger McCreary out of Auburn.
Ooh.
McCreary is a little tyke. He's not that small. He is 5'11", 190. The thing that people really don't like about him is his arm length. I think I have it here. Yeah. The only reason why I bring this up is because everyone is talking about it. Kind of like Kenny Pickett's hands, which don't matter. It's 28. His wingspan's 28 and 7 8/4 inches. Right?
His wingspan's 28 inches?
20, is that right? Or is it 28? Yeah, 28. 28.
Are you talking about like each arm or
maybe one arm?
It's like,
yeah, I don't know. It just says arms. Does that make sense?
I was about to say, because wingspan is usually about like your height.
Yeah. So it's gotta be it's gotta be one arm. It's gotta be one arm.
This dude is just walking around with T-Rex arms, essentially.
Yeah, right. Okay, you're right. Okay, so it's 28. It's 28. His arms are 28 inches long, almost 29. Okay.
Okay.
A lot of prospects say that's way too small, but it's not like his arms shrunk at all. Like that's how he's been playing in college. He ran in a 4.5 at the combine. Let's see. As far as stats go, in 2021, he had 49 tackles, 8 assists, 1 sack, 1 fumble return, and 2 interceptions. The thing about Roger McCreary that I do like about him is if we're talking about Akello and possibly Levi as the outside, McCreary, he was their starting cornerback. He was number 1, and he can play outside. I just don't think if he, especially right away, that's not where he would play. He had a lot of blitzing packages, a lot of run plays to that sense. He was kind of the routes that he succeeded best at were a very common slot routes.
Okay.
For slot cornerback. Now we're kind of missing that guy who can also blitz since Hilton left.
Hilton.
Yeah, I know that. Who was the player that filled in last year? We picked up. Talked about.
Oh, that's it's the Jets guy.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name.
Me either. It's bumming me out.
You keep talking. I'll.
Yeah, you look it up. But we've been kind of missing. I mean, he did a very decent job at like filling in for that role. I feel like Roger McCreary might be a little bit better suited for it. He covered a lot of outside routes, like I said, slants, flats. The deep routes he did cover. He plays the ball really well. I think that's the thing I like about him most is that if he plays slot and he plays more of those middle posts, slants, flats, he was very good at like cutting those off and tracking those and just getting his hand in there. He was very ball aware on like getting his hand to like knock those plays out. He was really tight on those kind of routes. I don't know if he can necessarily play the outside route in the NFL, at least not right away. But his slot capabilities are definitely there, and I think that is one thing that if the Steelers feel like, hey, we need an upgrade at the slot cornerback position, even though Cam Sutton does a really great job if he plays it there, I think this guy can do a good job as well. Next,
I just got to say real quick. Just because I was looking up, and of course I'm still having. Oh, Arthur Mollett.
Yeah, there we go.
I was looking at this site about the Steelers' depth chart, and they had Justin Lane as the starting left outside cornerback over Levi Wallace.
Okay, well let me tell you something, folks. That's not happening. Unless Justin Lane goes off in the offseason, that's not happening.
Unless he shows us that one highlight reel from his Michigan State days where he catches it for one hand, that every single time, sure.
The next quarterback we'll be talking about is Alontae Taylor from Tennessee. Alontae is maybe projected to be a late second round, third round pick. It's hard watching highlight tapes because you really want to invest into those, but those are just highlights. It doesn't show you the lowlights. And I'm sorry, you guys, we don't spend all day watching all 22 film from these players. Chris and I both have jobs. I also have 2 kids, so I am able to watch just the highlight tapes, and that's it. I'm not really sure what his downsides are, but his tape was really good, actually. Here's some examples why. I thought on tape he looked really fast. I was right. His 40-yard time is a 4.36. He's very quick. He's
Dang.
6 feet tall. His arm length is 4 inches taller than Roger, so I guess it does matter. 4 inches longer, not taller. Alante also plays the outside. Here's the thing. He looked taller than 6 feet. He was aggressive, man. Like he stayed on guys. He could get the jump balls when he needed to. I'm gonna pull up his own highlights just so I can kind of be reminded myself. He had a couple pick sixes that he was able to jump the routes on really easily, and then when he jumped them, he was gone because of that speed. That 4.35 speed also allows him to keep up with deep threats really well. There wasn't a lot that, like, just according to the highlight tape itself, that I didn't like. He was just kind of always around the ball. He's able to get a lot of pass breakups. I'm kind of skipping ahead. Because of his speed, he was also very good at halfback tosses, defending those. He can cover the perimeter really well. He can run laterally very fast. Any opportunity for flats or halfback tosses, he's there. He's not getting burnt on those. I would be pleasant. It's one of those things where, like, the Steelers are kind of known for not drafting good cornerbacks. That's kind of their thing. And I can't really tell you that I think this is like a solid pick by any means. But just according to these short highlights, I mean, he looks good. He really does. Now the highlights are really short. They're like 2.5 minutes. But he's fast. He's tall. He's aggressive. He's got like a attitude, like a dog mentality attitude. And but before seeing his downsides, I would say, like, that wouldn't be bad to get him. Now, of course, if you draft Alante Taylor, I still think he doesn't start. I don't think he even starts this year. But his role would be outside. My last cornerback I got for you is Martin Emerson. According to NFL's profile, MJ Emerson is what I'm seeing now. His 40 time is a 4.53. He is 6'2", 200 pounds. Arm length 33. Martin Emerson is the quintessential Steeler cornerback that they would draft, and I don't know if I necessarily mean that in a positive way. His highlight tape, there's not a lot of pass defending. His stats, you know what? And I didn't even read. You know what? Reset your brain real quick. I'll just say that Alante Taylor had 60 tackles, a fumble return, and 2 picks. Anyways, Martin Emerson, he had 49 tackles, 31 solo, only 3 pass defense. That's it. When you watch his tape, there you can see why. I mean, he's a quintessential Steeler guy because he's a really, really, really good tackler. I mean, really good. That is not an exaggeration. And that is by far his biggest plus on his tape. He stops the run really well on any halfback toss, any crack toss. The flats, the slants, the curls. He's a great open field tackler. Quarterbacks are in the ball. Matt Corral lights people up. He can hit really hard, as he showed. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's a phenomenal, truly is. He's a phenomenal tackler. He just the opponent will catch the ball. That's kind of what I got from, like, his highlights. He's not really tight on somebody to where he's blocking or he's swatting it out of their hands or he's right on somebody to, like, get a pass break up. They're catching it. They're just not going anywhere.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, take that with what you will. I don't know if that's something that can be taught to maybe be better. But that is maybe kind of the worrying thing for me because he does fit the Steelers' bill of cornerbacks that that tackle really well. But I guess, yeah, that's a plus side. If you're looking for better tackling, especially in the running game, then that would be a guy to go for. He'd be a good special teamer. That's for sure, too. You can get him in a later round. But, yeah, he's not going to be getting you picks, I don't think. He doesn't really cover guys that tightly. And those are kind of some early to mid-round guys that I was looking at. Chris, what do you got?
All right. So, let me preface this a little bit. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
I'm waiting.
All right. So I really like the picks that you got up here, and it's kind of cool to hear your takes on them because they've definitely been guys that I've kept an eye on, and I've watched some of their tapes too. So I'm excited to kind of see where they're going to be falling in the draft, who's going to pick them up, how they're going to be used, things like that. Now, I got someone big for you. All right.
Okay.
I'm ready. I got a personal favorite. Some call him the Iron Giant. I call him Pipsqueak because it is Marcus Jones out of Houston. Yeah, cornerback over there. He stands at a tall 5'8", 185 pounds. He's a small guy, that's for sure. But I'm telling you this, he does not let the size get in the way of just being an absolute freak on the field.
God.
Now, Dom, let me break it down for you a little bit, all right? This man is a jack of all trades, all right? Not only was he an absolute shutdown guy for Houston, but he also got called to play wide receiver occasionally and was a pretty dang good one and was probably the best return man in college football last season, or actually probably the last couple seasons. And I know what you're thinking.
I'm going to catch you off. That'd be a big plus since we lost Ray.
It would be huge. And I mean, like, although we do have Gunner, I'm not super fond of him. Not saying he can't do it. I don't know. But I'm just going to lay this out here. In Marcus Jones' career, he had 9 returns, like both kick and punt returns total for touchdowns in his career.
Jeez.
All right. That's insane. And watching some of the highlights, his ball carry vision, his ability, his awareness of what's around him. He not only is he fast, he's insanely quick, and he's able to find holes faster than anybody else. And it's insane what he does on the return game. So that alone, I think, brings his value up tenfold, right?
Yeah.
All right? But we ain't done there, Dom. All right? Because this dude is insane. Like, they have him playing both on the outside and in the slot. I would say they mostly have him in the slot, which, like you said before, with some of your other guys, that's definitely something that we've missed a lot of, especially since losing Mike Hilton. He locks on guys. And not only that, if he gets beat, his closing time is so quick that he just, like, he'll be 10 yards off the guy, the quarterback will throw it, and he'll be right in front of it to almost pick it off or pick it off. It's crazy. All right.
Did you mention his 40 time? Did you have that?
I did not. He actually did not participate in the combine, so I was not able to find it. If you want to do some digging.
Well, I was just going to say, I'm also watching his highlight tape like I always do when Chris has his players. And I think, like you said, with the slot being good, he plays a lot of man coverage, obviously, in college, and plays on the outside. But because his ball awareness is so good, I mean, this guy gets picks all the time. I think he'd be really great at zone schemes. Kind of like how we're using Trey Norwood last year. And we could still use Trey Norwood. That's kind of like his thing too. But it looks like Marcus would also be very good for zone schemes because he is so intelligent with his ball awareness.
Now, I do got to say, obviously his size is the biggest concern, which I honestly do believe is the reason his draft stock is so low, because I think I've seen him anywhere from 3rd to 5th round is typically where people are placing him in that, which is totally fine. My personal opinion, which I know I've talked Dom's ear off about this, and it's probably gotten really annoying by this point, I think he would be an absolute steal in the draft. If you get him in the 3rd or the 5th round, I'm like, wow, you just got yourself an absolute baller who's just going to produce, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, totally.
So, the last season, he had 47 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 13 pass deflections. And that's not even counting his receiving and then his also kick returns and punt returns. So, yeah, Marcus Jones, go for it.
You'd fill up like 3 position spots. You'd fill up cornerback, returner, and wide receiver.
Which is crazy, Dom, because if you think about it, we lost Ray, so we need a return man.
Yeah.
We lost everybody on wide receiver, so we need a wide receiver.
Yeah, basically.
And I feel like we need cornerbacks, so I feel like he's a triple threat.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's. So, I think compared to like, when Chris first showed me Marcus Jones, I wasn't as high on him as Chris was. However, as I have started looking at the cornerbacks I looked at and I just shared with you today, watching Marcus Jones tape is like leagues above what I had just witnessed. So, like Alontae Taylor was pretty good, but I would put him above all 3 guys that I said. So I would be totally fine with the Steelers drafting this guy. He's definitely a ball hawk, and the turn skills are very much welcomed.
I'm just going to say this, and if we do not get Marcus Jones in the draft, I let the record show I will be very sad, but life goes on. Moving on.
Yeah.
Now, Dom, this next guy, I like him. And let me tell you a little bit about him. He's got a lot of grit, right? He's got a lot of physicality, some might say.
Sure.
Others, and I mean others, may even say he has some Mamba mentality.
I don't necessarily like where you're going with this.
I think you know exactly where I'm going with this, though, because my number 2 guy is Mr. Kobe Bryant.
Hey.
Other cornerback out of Cincinnati. Now, when you think of Cincinnati, obviously, the first thing that comes to your mind is Mr. Sauce Gardner. All right? But I'm going to lay it down for y'all. All right? We're not going to get Sauce. All right? We're not even going to get a little taste of the sauce. All right? Because he's just that good and that talented. However,
we might get a taste of the sauce with the Ravens drafting him. We have to play him twice a year. That'd be our taste.
When Mitch throws him 4 picks, then that'll be the day. Yeah. But I do got to say, I feel like Kobe Bryant is someone, because he was playing on the opposite side of Sauce Gardner, kind of got put into his shadow big time. But that doesn't mean he did not shed his own light, And I mean that literally. I'm going to bring up a stat by PFF, which as a football fan or a Steeler fan, is a big no-no because they hate everything black and gold. So I apologize. But I looked up passer rating when targeting these cornerbacks in last year. Obviously, Sauce Gardner was ahead of him by allowing a 19.4 passer rating, which is God, crazy. Yeah. But Kobe Bryant was not far behind. He let up 37.3 passer rating.
Yeah, that's also very, very good.
That's super good. And, and Dom and I were talking, is it the people around him? Does he make him good? I absolutely not. When I was watching his tape, I saw a lot of good out of him. Kobe Bryant stands at a tall 6'1", 198 pounds. So he has some height to him, which is definitely a plus as a cornerback. And he's actually pretty fast. He ran a 4.54, so he has some speed and giddy up to him. And it was just really exciting. They played him for both man and zone. And actually, even though I felt like he did a really, really good job playing in that man coverage, the areas where I thought he excelled was personally the zone. And even in the highlights, the announcers were like, gosh, look at him in the zone. Like, he plays the zone so well. He's able to jump into it, which obviously sprung out to me because that's all the Steelers ever play is the zone, right?
Yeah.
So
I gotta say, just by watching his highlights, I am also very impressed with him. He might possibly be another guy who I'd put above the three people I just said. I think he'd be also a great steal in a later round.
Yeah, the dude holds his own. There's one thing that concerns me a little bit is he's very handsy when he plays in that man coverage. So
Sure.
it's definitely something that gets a little overlooked in college football, but not going to happen in the pros. So he definitely has to clean up his handwork a bit, or else he's going to get called for those PIs.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything that I saw, I was very impressed with. He's very quick. He's physical. He's able to play both that man and that zone. And I just really enjoyed him. He's actually, the reason I had to say the Mamba mentality is because he's actually named after Kobe Bryant. R.I.P.
That makes sense.
You know? So, I mean, the dude is a baller. He has a baller name. I'm all for it. He's a 5-year player. I guess he was maybe a redshirt and got some playing time his freshman year. But in his last year, he had 44 total tackles, 2 interceptions, and 11 pass deflections.
Wow. 11.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I also got to say, the year before that, he had 4 interceptions. In his career, he had 9 interceptions with Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's really good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great, like you said, a great pick later round. You're kind of finding like all the gems that I would be happy with the Steelers picking up later, and I found all the reaches that I'd be like, I guess.
Which is always so funny because I feel like a lot of your guys, maybe aside from Alante Taylor, were rated higher than these guys.
Yeah, and I think they are too. It's just just going by tape alone, I am really enjoying the cornerbacks you're bringing up as potential gems later on. I don't mean to cut you up, but if you want to jump to the last guy, let's make a 3 for 3.
So the last guy is Mr. Zion McCollum out of Sam Houston State. I know this guy a little too well. I am a Jackrabbit alum out of South Dakota State, and Sam Houston is definitely a team that if you want to get to that FBS championship, you got to go through Sam Houston. Sam Houston is a really dominant team, but we're not here to talk about Sam Houston. We're here to talk about Zion McCollum. Standing at 6'4".
Whoa.
Yeah, tall guy. That's not even the most impressive part. 6'4", 200 pounds. He ran a 4.33 40 time. Yeah, so not only is he tall, he is fast, and he also has a 39.5-inch vertical. So you add another 3 feet onto his already impressive height. What do you do?
Yeah, it's got to make you wonder, like, why did he play at Sam Houston State? And 2, like, what are his faults, I guess?
Exactly. And so I didn't really get a chance to look up a lot of his combine stuff where I try to get a lot of the strengths and cons aside from looking at his tape. But his tape was very impressive. The dude is fast. His closing speed is honestly phenomenal. So, I mean, if there's anyone that breaks down or breaks away like a running back, wide receiver, I feel like you can always count on Zion to kind of cut the loss and get the guy before he makes that big score. He's good at jumping in front of it. His man coverage is pretty good. He stays spot on there. Even if he gets beat, like I said, he's fast, man. He catches up so quickly. So I don't have a whole lot to say on him. Definitely watch his tape. He has a lot of good stuff out there, and I know they don't really show a lot of FBS football highlights, but give him a look. He is very impressive with what he found, and he definitely has the size of what you'd hope for in a cornerback.
You know, what's funny about watching this tape, well, one, I believe this is his own YouTube channel, and he posted this highlight video. I don't know if Zion made this highlight video, but it's a good thing you play football because this editing is egregious, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, for his size and speed, he definitely seems like very locked down in that division. Not to say that you can't be successful in the NFL in that division, because we've seen people come out of that division and be successful. So I'm not really sure what his cons are, but in a late round, yeah, I mean, he's got the intangibles for sure. He's got the speed. Looks like he's got some good ball awareness to be able to get some pass breakups, some tackles. I mean, like you say, he's tall, he's fast. I guess I would kind of relate that more to, in his career, just based on this, good Lord, 13 picks and he had 53 pass breakups in his college career, which is nuts. Almost seems like maybe he should have not been playing in that division, but he did. So if you can get him a later round, I feel like that's not really a bad thing. He reminds me of maybe a Justin Lane, just because of his intangibles, but maybe he can progress a lot quicker than Justin Lane, because Justin Lane was, I believe, a third-round pick.
Yeah.
And hasn't really done much. So, yeah, Zion, if you can get him maybe fifth round, I would say it's a good pick. In the fifth round.
I'd say that's an excellent pick, yeah.
I know we don't have a fifth round pick, so I guess I'd have to say 6, but still.
Even better.
Yeah, it would still. If you can get that guy in the 6th round pick, I think you definitely have an option to be like, oh, this guy could be good. Because you never know with 6th round picks. You don't need to tell me that Antonio Brown was a 6th round pick. I know that. But usually they're not very good. So that'd be really cool. So there you go. There you have it. There's our cornerback, some prospects for you that maybe the Steelers could draft. Obviously, with their number 1 pick, who knows what they're going to do? Everyone's saying QB, but there's a lot of options out there, a lot of different needs the Steelers have, so still going to be fun. I thought, just to another quick segment to add on before we say goodbye and close down the podcast tonight, Chris, is we kind of talk about our social media for a little bit and some interactions we're doing with some people. So if you're listening to the podcast, we are on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, and we're on Twitter, all under at Northern Steel Podcast. On Twitter, there is a Steelers community. That community tab was started by Adam Steele. If you do not follow him, you should. He makes also great content videos about the Steelers during the season. He's not afraid to ruffle some feathers with some opposing fans. And he stays true to his guns, and he made a community for all Steeler fans to kind of talk and hang out with each other. And we have made some tweets on there and trying to ask a question every day for some Steeler fans. And Chris had asked, I just had it. There we go. He asked, hey, Steeler Nation, I want to start a question of the day to get your insight. The running back position is said to be a team need. Which running back from the draft do you want, and in what round? I think it's a great question to kind of talk about on the podcast, because running back, I don't think, is a position, one, that we're going to have time to go over, and 2, is that important for us to find earlier stuff and then later stuff. I feel like a lot of guys are kind of gems. We're hoping to find the best thing option. Obviously, we want a running back to complement Najee Harris. I think that's more of a coaching thing, though, that we run our running backs into the ground. But I would like them to not do that with Najee. I think he's got a bright future. Also found out recently that Tariq Cohen is still available as a free agent. Hello? We should sign him. Mm-hmm. But if we do not sign him, I thought we could bring up some names from some people who wrote to us, and we could kind of watch their tape live. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. Let's roll with it.
Okay, let's do that. Let me, you know what? I should have already had sharing the screen available, but I didn't, because I suck. Oh, that's good. Oh, technical difficulties. Hold on. Oh,
maybe while you're figuring that out,
maybe you can share your screen, because it won't let me.
All right.
And then while you try to do that, I will talk about the first one. Here's a name I have seen up on the boards before. It is Kyron Williams out of Notre Dame. Someone said in the 3rd round. I think that's really high for us to draft a running back, personally. But they said he's the perfect complement to Najee Harris. So let's see why. Oh, you just had it, and then you got rid of it.
Give me a second. Some technical difficulties. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay.
Do you have two screens? Okay, perfect. There we go.
Nope, just one.
So go to Kyren, Kyren Williams, out of Notre Dame.
All right.
This was tweeted by Shelby Lucas. So thanks, Shelby, for giving us this one. Let's see how Kyren is. I still think third round's too high, but I am not really sure that he'd be drafted in the third round. 5'9", 199 pounds. He's a short guy. It's kind of what we thought we'd need, like a short, shifty kind of player. Yeah.
Quickly evades tackle, good strength in the outside, and he...
Oh, is he gone? First play, is he gone? To break all those... Oh, my goodness.
And he's gone.
Wow. That's like 97 yards.
Good for him to...
Get through all that?
Maybe a little bit of holding there, but still very impressive for him to get back outside.
But that's a Steelers offensive line. I've ever seen one, to let a bunch of guys in and then for him to bounce it out and try to take it somewhere. So he must be quick. Well, while you're watching that, I'm going to look up. It looks like he might be able to fit in Matt Canada's office pretty well. He's looking pretty good.
I thought you were going to say it looks like a Steelers line because he had a really good run, but then it got called back for holding.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that would also be true, wouldn't it?
Oh, good with the pass running and keeping his composure, being able to catch that in between that window. I would not have thrown that, but he did, and it worked out in his favor.
So he must have like sneaky speed because his 40 time is a 4.65.
It does not surprise me, honestly, looking at his tape. He doesn't. I don't think anything about his tape really screams out speed. I just think he's shifty, which he's able to get that separation. But then you just got to hope he has enough space in between, so that way he's able to keep the play going. But good hole vision. He's able to find that hole pretty quickly and really shoot through it. So that's pretty awesome. Oh, and there's a Colts commercial. You know what?
Well, that's fine. Let's move on to the next one. That was a great suggestion. So thank you, Shelby, for putting that one out there. This guy just straight up tagged the player. This is from Woolard or at JWoo4949. He just straight up tagged Jerome Ford.
Ford, huh?
Yeah, let's see. He didn't give a round, but let's see what this guy's looking like. But so far, yeah, Kyren Williams look a pretty good compliment for
Cincinnati. Looks like Cincinnati's what we're going for in this draft. We're going to get Kobe Bryant. We're going to get Jerome Ford. We're going to get the guy I talked about last week, whose name is escaping me at the moment.
I remember either.
The safety.
Lewis Cine is from there as well.
Yeah, but no one cares about Lewis Cine.
And Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis is Cincinnati?
Oh, no, it's Georgia.
I was like, yeah, no, he's not.
So Lewis Cine is Georgia too. I'm an idiot.
So the very first thing that really, oh gosh, he's fast.
Oh, okay. I'll look that up.
And one of the first things that really pops out to me is like this dude does not go down. He gets a ton of yards after contact. So he's strong, but he's quick. He's got that breakaway speed, which is very impressive. I kind of want to see him do a little bit of shiftiness. I feel like if we are going to get a running back, you definitely want it to be something that is complementary to Najee. Najee's a very north-south runner. He's very physical and not afraid to break tackles. I feel like if you got to have someone who's quick and shifty, and someone that we hoped McFarland would be. So I don't know. I'm really liking Jerome Ford right now. I feel like a lot of his tape is very impressive. He's quick. He's fast.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. I
don't know necessarily what round he's projecting. We weren't getting like a round projection, but he is 5'11" and he's runs a 4.46.
Oh, look, Dom, did you see who handed him the ball? Our future quarterback?
Was that Ritter?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I know.
I think both those are great options. Don't know where they're from.
Seriously.
Okay. Here's the next one, Chris, for you. This is from Justin Stewart at J_Stew55. He put, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Sincere McCormick.
Oh, Sincere McCormick? Sure.
If his name is actually Sincere, that is a sweet name. This Justin said we can probably get him in the 6th round. One of the most productive running backs in college in the past 2 seasons. Yeah, we'll see about that.
All right. Out of USTA, don't know. Oh, UTSA. University of Texas, Southern Alabama.
Really?
Nope. I just said Texas and Alabama.
Yeah, I was like, what?
University of Technology and Southern Arkansas.
You could have said Texas and Southern Arlington, maybe.
I mean, you could show me the Carfax.
What do you think? I mean, he looks kind of like. I'm glad that Steeler fans are kind of on the same page we are with a complimentary running back. We're getting a lot of shifty guys. A lot of guys are taking snaps from a shotgun, kind of like HB draws, maybe some quarterback option read. A lot of snaps is what they're getting, and a lot of small, fast guys that kind of just break it open.
Is this guy Tyreek? Oh, sorry, Tariq Cohen.
He had the past 2 seasons, Chris. He had almost 1,500 yards rushing. He had 15 touchdowns last year, 11 touchdowns the year before that.
All right, last one here. All right, standing at 5'6", Sincere McCormick.
Is he actually 5'6"?
Honestly, I have no idea. He just looks really tiny. I'll
tell you, he's 5'9".
He's 5'9"? No way is he 5'9". You're telling me Marcus Jones is smaller than this dude?
He's 5'9", and he's 4'6", which is around the same speed as Jerome Ford. But
did you ever get...
What's up?
Is that Cincinnati's guy?
Yes. Jerome Ford.
Oh, he looked faster than a 4'6".
Yeah, no.
No, I think you're talking about Kyron Williams was a 4'6".
Maybe Jerome Ford was a 4'6".
That sounds better.
I'll look it up again real quick.
Would you want to give me the next guy?
Yep, 1 second. Jerome Ford was, a 4'6". But yeah, okay. A lot of these picks, I mean, Sincere McCormick, he said 6th round. Sure. 6th round. I feel like he's a pretty decent complimentary back in the 6th round. He looked tough, looked good. Didn't look as good, honestly, as the other 2 guys we saw, but 6th round makes sense for that. Here we got Hassan Haskins. Hopefully earlier, day 3. This comes in from Zackintosh at Zach Heffron. .62", 228. So he's a bigger boy. It's the first big one that has been suggested to us. Oh, Lord. He's
got strength.
He's got a lot of strength. Be able to break tackles. Speed and power right off the gate. Hassan Haskins playing from Michigan. He said much earlier than day 3, but maybe there's a reason why he might go in day 3, potentially.
Hey, and that could just simply be,
my goodness.
Even that hurdle move. Here's
hurdle.
Okay. Here's the thing. I like Haskins. I think he's a good back. He's way too similar to Najee in these first 2 highlights that I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. He is very similar. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's the kind of running we're going to do all the time. I think you and I are on the same page that we want to have a complimentary back that's different. We want a shorter guy. Najee's a great pass catcher too, but also a shorter guy who can catch passes, who can shift, who you can maybe play them both at the same time. But that's not to say that you can't have two running backs of the same quality. Case in point, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are both big, strong, powerful backs, and they both just dominate when they're in.
I mean, look at what was it? The first duo, D'Angelo Williams and who's the other Panthers guy? Jonathan Stewart.
Yes. Yep.
They were very similar, and they both rushed for like over 1,000 yards that year. It's crazy.
He runs really, really well. I'm really liking his tape.
He does. I would be surprised if he makes it to day 3. I'd be kind of curious why day 3, but he's strong. He's quick. He honestly reminds me a lot of Najee, to be honest.
Let's see why maybe people think a day 3. He had 1,500 yards last year, 20 touchdowns. Golly. He is also, like we said, 6'2", 220 pounds. Did not have a 40-yard time, which just sucks. I'm not really sure how fast he is. But yeah, it looks good. Should we move on to the next one?
Yep.
Last one is Ty Chandler. This last tweet comes in from Legend of Steeler Heart at Biggs Lime with like 4 eyes in it. Ty Chandler in round 6. He says he's biased. He's a Tar Heels fan. But let's see how good of a combo you could be.
And who knows, Tar Heel with a Tar Heel at center, because, Trubisky was a Tar Heel.
It was?
Wasn't he?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he went to North Carolina. Do you want to fact check me before I make myself look like an idiot like last week?
I mean, we could draft Sam Howell. He was a Tar Heel. Or he is a Tar Heel currently.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, I don't want to. Where did he play? Yeah, North Carolina. You're right.
Okay, so Ty Chandler, he's fast. That's the very first thing, and I like that. See, I really want these guys to be what I hoped McFarland would be.
Oh, so he's the fastest one for sure. So he's 6 feet, 198 pounds. And he ran a 4.38 40.
Dang, 4.38.
And
it looks like
I was going to say, looks like from his tape, at least, like, not only is he fast, he's able to move around, but like it looks like he can break tackles. He can be agile. The thing we're worried about with Ant McFarland is that he kind of he's smaller, so when he gets tackled, he kind of just sits down right away. That's kind of the problem with Ant. That was like why Dree Archer never succeeded with us. But this guy being a little bit bigger at 6 foot, 198, with the speed, maybe he can break some tackles here and there. Not really doing it. He kind of runs like a bullet. Almost looks like he's not really breaking as much tackles as I would like him to. But 6th round makes sense. He's definitely not a bad running back by any means.
No, not at all. I mean, 1,300 yards, 14 total touchdowns last season. Like that's not stats to really shy away from. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's very productive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it looks great. So, I think those are all really great suggestions. We're going to add those to our list. I know that for sure. When we are drafting on day 3, it is my son's 2nd birthday on day 3, so I'll try to keep tabs on what's going on there. But we want to thank you for writing this back, and if you would like to be featured in the podcast or be talked about, follow us on Twitter at Northern Steel Podcast. We'll be writing on the community post every single day. And we have questions. Chris wrote about Lyman today. And it's just a fun time. Hang out with us. We got Chris is kind of manhandling the Twitter, so he writes some funny reactions to things. We maybe post some videos on there like we do on our TikTok, Instagram, so follow us on all of those. Thank you for listening to the Northern Steel Podcast. Next week, we'll pick another position to go over. There's still a couple more positions of need. Surprisingly, still some more defensive positions we could do. But we'll kind of decide the day before we do the podcast, I'm sure. But again, thank you for listening. Stay well, stay healthy, be safe, and have a great week.
Peace out.
Goodbye.